No one expected Chrissie Heughan, Sam Heughan's private, soft-spoken, fiercely protective mother, to speak out about her son's personal life. For decades, she had remained silent, gently sidestepping any question about relationships, rumors, or why Sam, one of Hollywood's most admired leading men, was still unmarried. But during a recent interview at a small art event in Edinburgh, Chrissie finally broke that silence. Her tone was calm, but the words she shared sent shockwaves across the internet. She began by acknowledging the pressure Sam had lived under for years. The constant speculation, the relentless attention, the non-stop questions about who he was dating, why he was single, and when he would finally settle down. Chrissie spoke like a mother who had watched her son carry far more than the world realized. "People think it's a choice," she said gently, "but they don't know what he goes through." That single sentence changed the tone of the entire conversation. The interviewer, stunned by her openness, pressed gently, asking whether Sam's career was the main reason he hadn't married. Chrissie hesitated, then offered a small, heartbreaking smile. She said Sam had sacrificed more than the public ever saw. While others were building families, he was building a career brick by brick, often alone, often exhausted, often pushed to his physical and emotional limits. His rise to fame, she admitted, came with a cost. A cost he rarely acknowledged even to himself. But there was something deeper. Chrissie revealed that Sam had been carrying an unspoken weight from earlier in his life, something she described as a fear he has never fully shaken. She didn't go into detail, but she hinted at moments of profound struggle during his early years in London. Financial hardships, rejection after rejection, nights spent wondering if he had chosen the wrong path. She suggested that those years left a mark on him, shaping the way he approached relationships. "You learn to protect your heart," she said quietly. "Sometimes too well." As Chrissie continued speaking, her voice softened further, and her eyes filled with a mother's worry. She explained that people misunderstood Sam's romantic life. They assumed he wasn't ready, or he didn't care, or he was simply too focused on work. But the truth, she hinted, was far more complicated. She said Sam struggled with letting people in, really in. He could give the world his talent, his smile, his time, but giving someone his heart felt more difficult. More vulnerable, more dangerous. Fans watching the clip couldn't believe what they were hearing. Chrissie was not dramatic, not emotional, just honest, thoughtful, and deeply protective. She insisted Sam wasn't avoiding marriage. He simply wasn't able to take that step while carrying unresolved pressures, fears, and expectations that followed him everywhere. She explained that the industry often demanded he appear perfect, available, charming, qualities that left little room for a private life to bloom naturally. "He's never had the space to breathe," she said. "Not really." Then came the moment that sent the internet into meltdown. Chrissie revealed that Sam had once come close to settling down, but something happened, something she did not describe, that changed everything. She said he walked away from that relationship not because he didn't care, but because he wasn't ready to give someone a version of himself he didn't feel he could sustain. "He didn't want to hurt anyone," she whispered. "So he stepped back." Her words felt heavy, weighted with years of unspoken emotion. The interviewer tried to ask what exactly had happened, but Chrissie shook her head. "That's Sam's story to tell," she said firmly. Still, she added one more haunting detail. The moment that broke him was also the moment he stopped believing he was capable of the kind of love people expected from him. Fans froze at that line. Was it heartbreak, trauma, something from his past that had left a lingering scar? Chrissie didn't say. She simply hinted that Sam had been healing ever since. Before ending the conversation, Chrissie delivered the sentence that would explode across social media in minutes. "There is one thing, one truth, Sam hasn't told anyone. And until he faces it, he cannot marry." She didn't explain further. She didn't need to. The mystery she left hanging in the air was enough to ignite a full-on frenzy online. Fans were desperate to know. What was the secret? What was the truth Sam was avoiding? And why had Chrissie decided to reveal this now? One thing was certain. This story was far from over. After Chrissie Heughan's unexpected revelation, the internet erupted into a frenzy of theories, debates, and emotional reactions. Fans were desperate for clarity, while tabloids spun wild narratives trying to uncover the one truth Sam had supposedly never spoken about. The pressure mounted so quickly that within hours, reporters were reaching out to Sam's team, demanding a statement. But Sam remained silent, leaving the world suspended in uncertainty. The silence only made Chrissie's words echo louder. Behind the scenes, insiders revealed that Sam had been caught off guard by his mother's interview. Though he adored Chrissie, he had not expected her to comment so directly on his romantic life. Those close to him described him as deeply reflective, spending the day away from cameras, processing what had been said. It wasn't anger, more a mix of vulnerability and confusion. He knew his mother spoke from love, but her honesty had forced him to confront emotions he had long buried. When Sam finally addressed the situation, his message wasn't loud or defensive. It was slow, thoughtful, and filled with emotional weight. He acknowledged Chrissie's interview, saying she had always been his greatest supporter, the person who had carried him through every high and low. He didn't deny what she said. Instead, he gently admitted that some truths were harder to face than others. "There are things from my past I've never fully dealt with," he wrote. "Things that shaped me in ways I'm only beginning to understand." His words sent a ripple of emotion across the internet. For the first time, Sam confirmed that the reasons behind his unmarried status weren't about career, timing, or public perception. They were tied to something personal, something that still affected him deeply. He didn't reveal the full story, but he shared enough to paint a picture of emotional wounds he had never addressed. He admitted that he had always struggled with vulnerability, commitment, and the fear of disappointing those he cared about. Fans suddenly saw him not as a heartthrob or a celebrity, but as a human being navigating his own pain. Sam revealed that years ago, early in his career, he had lost someone he cared about deeply, not through betrayal or conflict, but through circumstance. It had happened at a time when he was still fighting for roles, struggling financially, and trying to find his place in the world. That relationship, he said, had ended abruptly, leaving behind a sense of guilt and unfinished emotion. He never explained the details, only describing it as a loss that never quite healed. It was the first hint of the heartbreak Chrissie had alluded to. He explained that ever since that moment, he had built emotional walls without realizing how high they had become. Work became a shield, success became a distraction, and public expectations became an excuse to avoid intimacy. He admitted he had sabotaged relationships unintentionally, pulling away when connections grew too deep. "It wasn't fair to them," he wrote. "But it didn't feel fair to myself either. I wasn't ready." As fans absorbed his words, sympathy flooded every corner of social media. People who once questioned his choices now understood the emotional complexity he carried. Even those who felt frustrated by years of silence softened, realizing he had been protecting a part of himself still bruised from old wounds. His honesty felt raw, almost painful, a stark contrast to the polished image the world often saw. Sam also addressed the speculation about his mother's final statement, the truth he hadn't told anyone. He didn't fully confirm her words, but he didn't dismiss them either. Instead, he admitted he had been avoiding a conversation he needed to have with himself. He said he had been afraid of opening a part of his heart sealed off for too long, afraid that acknowledging old pain might reopen wounds he wasn't ready to face. But Chrissie's interview had forced him to confront those fears. "Maybe she knew I needed a push," he wrote softly. He ended his message not with a revelation, but with a promise. He said he wasn't closing the door on love or marriage, only admitting that he needed time, real time, to heal, reflect, and rediscover what it meant to trust deeply again. He expressed gratitude for the patience of his fans, the loyalty of those close to him, and the unconditional love of his mother, who always knew the parts of me I tried to hide. His final words struck a chord around the world. "I'm not avoiding marriage, I'm still learning how to be ready for it." And with that, the mystery didn't disappear, but it transformed into something more human, more intimate, and far more heartbreaking than anyone expected.